is it a good idea to make an album by yourself, playing all the instruments, record it with your own limited knowledge and equipment, and try to release it as such? Or is it much better to pay a lot of money for pro musicians and a producer to get done and put yourself into debt? Obviously, the real producer would make it sound much, much better, but is it necessary? If you record the album all by yourself, the final result at this time may not be as great as it could be if you hired a bunch of pro musicians, got a producer, and do all these other things. Okay? But what do you learn if you do record it by yourself? What do you learn how to do?
Everything.
Yeah, you learn how everything works, right? So in the future, if you're not the one programming the drum parts, or you're not the one playing the bass, or you're not the one playing keyboard or singing, if you're a guitar player, you're just focused on the playing guitar part. Okay, and that's important, but it's very useful for you to understand how everything fits together. This will help your recording skills, it will help your songwriting as well, because now you start thinking about things differently when you're the one who has to record it. And you hear how everything is being put together, versus if you say, hey, here's my song, here's the guitar parts, hey drummer, come in and play drums, and hey bass player, come in and play bass, and keyboard player, come in and do keyboards. Well, now the final vision of your song may be very different from where you started, right? Maybe you didn't even envision the whole song, you just envisioned the guitar parts and thought, I'll get other people to write cool stuff. Okay? Your skill set, your composition and songwriting skill set totally expands when you do it on your own. Okay? You guys understand why? It's obvious? Okay, it should be, but I want to make sure. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, so you have to kind of determine what's most important to you. Is the learning experience the most important thing to you? Or is getting the better result right now more important to you? Okay? So that's a choice you have to make. We'll talk about the debt part in just a second. I would tend to probably go for the learning experience part, because it's going to benefit me for the rest of my life. Right? And if I never have that experience, I'm not going to ever gain that knowledge and skill that will be so useful in writing in the future. All right? But that's a personal choice everyone can make. Okay, so now to hire a producer, if you're just starting out and you've got to go into debt, and you have to go into a significant debt, that's not a good place to begin your music career, by going into debt on something that may never recoup that debt. Okay, that's what record companies are for them to spend their money to take the risk. Right? If you can't afford to do it, don't do it. Do what you can with what you can afford, and in the meantime, work to build so that you can afford more. Okay? So I would not advise people, generally speaking, to go out and take a loan to hire a bunch of musicians and a producer to make an album, especially a first album. It would be different if you already had an established band, you had previous albums, or you had some reason to believe, besides your faith, that when this is done, it's going to sell, and you're going to recoup that money. Okay? Or there's something else on the back end that you could make money on. Okay? But if those things aren't clear, and the return on investment is not very likely, and it's not very clear to you, why would you do it? I mean, why would you take out a loan to go invest in a stock and know nothing about the company or the stock market? Why would you do that? With no advice whatsoever. You just believe that this company is going to make money. It doesn't make sense.